Well, Carlos Bocanegra has met the media with his year-end media availability, talking about Atlanta United's year-end moves as well as what to expect in 2024. Sydney and Tommy with you. As we're kind of reacting to that, kind of giving our thoughts as to any surprises that we saw from the year-end changes, as well as what Carlos Bocanegra said in this press conference. And Tommy, let's start right off the bat. Gonzalo Pineda will be back in 2024. As we figured.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than fine at this point. You made the playoffs. You won a playoff game. It was going to happen. They're trusting the process. Now, how long can you hold on to him? I think they're going to need to see some immediate changes at the start of the season. They can't start off bad defensively. They can't start terrible on the road. If not, then, potentially they could look to make changes, mid-season. But they're going to have to start off strong.
Yeah, that's something Bocanegra brought up during his press conference. He said, the team made the playoffs in 2021 after a rough 2020. Pretty much called 2022 a scratch year because of all the injuries, right? And he's exactly right with that. Then going back to 2021 real quick, talking about how they finished tied for fourth points, but they lost out to New York City FC tie break. Had to go up to NYCFC and lost. So he mentioned that again, 2022 throughout. But then he said 2023, the team was in the playoff hunt for most of the year. And for better or for worse, Vince kind of hit a rough patch here and there. They leaked goals. And he acknowledged that the team needed to get better in that regard, as well as get better away from home. And he'll be looking at players to help them do that. But he said, look, we just ran into a really good Columbus team, and tip your hat to them. So I think all in all, I don't want to say he's happy with the job Pineda did, because he made the point that top four is the goal and we want to compete for championships. So I think Pineda knows that he's under contract for through 2024. And like he said, if things don't get off to a good start in 2024, we could be looking at him gone mid-season with the club. Having to pay him really not a lot of money to go away. So I think that's a fair point. I think those are fair points he brought up, and maybe some fans will be very disappointed to hear that. But after that transfer window, they were pretty good. They weren't a great team by any stretch of the imagination, but they were pretty good. And I think it's a good move to bring Pineda back, just in my opinion, for that continuity and cohesion's sake. That was a phrase that he brought up toward the top. So
I don't think we had a top four team to start the year prior to the summer transfer window. I just don't think it was there. And then, I think I disagree with you. I think we had a great team after the Leagues Cup. I thought they came in and they were one of the top teams in the league going there, but you still had the problems that you've had for 2 years.
Yeah,
you asked a good question, during the conference. If you haven't heard it, join our Patreon. We posted the entire conference on there, so plug for that. But you asked a question about how the fans would feel about, staying with, Pineda. And the way I feel is that for 2 years, we've run into the same things. We're pretty good at home. We're terrible on the road. We're leaking a lot of goals. We start slow. These are all things that are obviously going to have to change. And someone asked, I think it might have been Felipe, about, well, now you're going into a lot of roster changes. There's a lot of players that we're saying goodbye to today. The graphics guy got his work. He's getting paid today because he had so many graphics he had to make for players getting out of there, right? It's going to be important for this team to bring in new players soon. You can't be doing what you did last year, where you had a couple guys and you were scrambling for for them to be able to get their work visa. You need to get these guys signed early so they're here, so they can go for training and do their away trip, where they bond and create that continuity for the start of the season.
Right. Yeah, so that kind of brings us to, we'll talk about the roster decisions a little bit later on, but that brings us to Bocanegra's own status. He said, I expect to be here in 2024. He mentioned Rangers asking him about their director of football position, and he declined. He said, I was flattered to receive interest considering the club has a special place in his heart. He played for him for several seasons, right? But he said, I like it here. I like the investments that Garth Lagerwey has made and the investments that Arthur Blank has made in the team to make us better, essentially. And it was to help the club get back on the right path. I think he acknowledged that the club is far off from where they were in 2017, 2018. And he mentioned the commitment to getting the club back to where they are. Goes without saying that, once U.S. Soccer opens up its headquarters here in Atlanta, they could see about bringing Bocanegra on because he's a U.S. national team legend, former captain with the national team. So, at least for now, it sounds like he's good here with Atlanta United. And we'll have to see what that means. Again, once U.S. Soccer comes, I feel like they'll throw him a bone or something like that. But at least for now, he's sticking around for better or for worse. And I know that's something else that the fans will be very upset about. But I mean, you have to think that he's kind of on a tightrope, I guess, considering the tools that he just mentioned that Garth has championed since his arrival. I guess what are your thoughts? Do you kind of agree or disagree? Or
you've seen proof of concept. You had a great overall, the last two windows have been pretty good. Now the first window you didn't have the analytics team, so it was just Barry, Yakamakis, and Etienne. Now obviously that last one didn't work out too well at all here, but the analytics said that he would be a good player. There was a lot of people posting that this was one of the best free agency signings here. But I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on the second transfer window because that's the thing, right? You buffed that up early on. You hired people. They were immediately hiring analytics people like from day one when Garth Lagerwey took over. So you look at that window and you brought in Silva, where he obviously was an immediate change onto how your wing. Saba was very good. You had Mayumba come in and amazing, right? Kind of really transformed the team in general. Those were huge moves that have worked out and were really why we even got to the playoffs, because I think, some people didn't even think, including some of us, I think we talked about, like, it was very questionable if they'd even make the playoffs after bowing out of Leagues Cup immediately. And you saw a completely different Atlanta United team the minute you went into Seattle to start, the last part of your season up. So I think he's earned our confidence. I understand why the fans are saying, this is still Carlos Bocanegra we're talking about here, and he's probably got Jurgen Damm still on his favorites. Hey, you want to come back and be a 5-stripe for the next 35 years? Sure, Jurgen Damm. We have
Bobby Bonilla style.
Yeah, I mean, we have to trust it to see that after he's gotten all these resources, that he had a good window. Yeah. Now let's see what he could do here, because this window is going to really be the most important one for him, because as we get into with all the names being released, you've got a ton of spots to fill, right? A ton. And now you're gonna be judged on this because you're basically building up, I don't want to say half the roster, but it feels like it's half the roster, right?
Yeah. And I guess for Pineda, we mentioned that too. Pineda will have the tools he needs to succeed, and not to belabor the point because we have to move on to these roster decisions. But yeah, if he doesn't make the most of the tools that he's been given, he's gone. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And you have to imagine that, Bocanegra will be out the door with him. So interested to see how the first part of the season works out off the back of this upcoming winter transfer window coming up. So let's talk about these roster decisions. So we go to the players out of contract currently. Couple of them, no surprise. Ozzy Alonso out of contract. He may retire altogether. Just the knee just never got healed up the way it was supposed to. Miguel Berry, no surprise. Very limited impact with Atlanta United, as we all know.
I'm very sad. This is the last time I can say it. So just let me get it in, City. I'm very sad that he's gone.
Oh, well.
But I'm very thankful for that one goal that he scored, because it was a banger. Continue.
Yes, it was.
Say the next name. Say the next name.
Mateus Hasetu.
Okay. My
Should I
face
go
says
out?
it all.
Amar Sejdic, kind of a mild surprise. I felt like he'd be some of a contributor to Atlanta United. We mentioned him, mid to lower level talent. Not a great player, but a solid 20-30 minute guy. So not a huge surprise.
He replaced Ozetu for a long time in this season. He played
Yeah.
him out of a spot,
Yeah.
right? Like I think Ozetu got hurt early on in the season. Like he got a little banged up, and then Sejdic came in and basically owned the job for a long time. And I think that we've always talked about cheaper depth, and I've always felt that Sejdic was one of those players. Now he did get a pay increase this last year, and deservingly so. But if they're looking to go somewhere else, and he hadn't seen the field in forever, I understand. And like obviously he didn't even see the field for this must play playoff game, right? Like you had to win, and then you instead you play fortune. Yeah, you could kind of tell he was on his way out there.
No, absolutely. So maybe, yeah, not a huge surprise, but maybe a guy you want to keep around later on. But still, he is out of contract. Quentin Westberg is out of contract. The team is negotiating with him though to bring him back. Carlos said it's kind of a separate situation than it is with Brad Guzan. We'll talk about Brad a little bit later on. But he is still under discussion, even though he's out of contract. Miles Robertson is the big one, of course. He is out of contract. And I just want to add some context. I feel like some fans are a little frustrated because I heard one person say, why is Carlos not knowing what Miles is thinking at this point? Well, Miles is on international break. They haven't spoken really since the season ended. He had to go to be with the national team, and he's with them right now, the Nations League. So they had a chance to sit down and talk long term about this contract offer that's still on the table, and maybe a sliver of hope that they bring him back. I don't think they will. I don't think he's coming back. I mean, he could, but it's leaning toward no at this point. Officially, though, he's still under negotiation. Yes.
I mean, we've been hearing about Garth Lagerwey talk about this offer on the table since, summer, right? Early summer. He's got an offer on the table. We're hearing it. It's going to be 2032, and Miles is still thinking about this contract extension here. The team knows, I think. They're obviously in touch with his agent throughout the season and talking about the offer. It's going to be a max TAM deal if it's happening, and I'm not heartbroken if he ends up leaving. I love Miles. I think he's done a lot for this club, and obviously the injury really was frustrating, and it was an up and down season. We were praising Miles left and right to start the year. He looks stronger. He's faster. He's the Terminator. How did he come back from this injury so quick? We were so happy, and then things started to go down a little bit, and he started making some careless mistakes, especially in the last quarter of the season. Can you find better for less? I think so. So it is what it is, but I think the club has an idea, and I saw the comment on our Patreon that you're talking about, and I think that they more than likely know, but they're kind of just leaving it out there, so there is a possibility of this possibly still happening.
Yeah, Bocanegra said, there's a contingency plan and that the team has an internal deadline as to when they want things done. I will say that contingency plan does not include David Martinez. Carlos saying straight up, they're not chasing him, and he implied that agents were using it as leverage. So that is off the table.
Are we getting Rossi though?
I think Rossi is off the table as well. Just a hunch.
Just checking.
So let's get into these declined contract options. Let's hit on Efrain Morales out of contract. His option declined. Machop Chol, contract declined. Option declined. Jackson Conway, same thing. Kind of felt writing was on the wall for Jackson Wright. Unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out for him, and just wasn't able to affect the first team. And it looks like his career will continue elsewhere. Clement Diop, we already knew about based on this Instagram post prior to on Friday, and then Justin Garces. So I feel this two are kind of tied to the hip, considering Vicente Reyes is now at Norwich City, considering that there's still ongoing discussions with Brad Guzan and Carlos Saig. Brad's still talking to his family. They're going to have those discussions in the future, as emotions kind of calm down from the end of the season. But it does say the club does want to bring in competition for goalkeeper. So with no Diop, with no Garces, with Westberg kind of 50-50, but Bocanegra saying that's a separate discussion. Gotta wonder where Atlanta United is headed as far as keeper is concerned. That's at minimum backup keeper, but potentially maybe someone that could really push for BK1. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what the club do in that situation. I mean, they're kind of running thin on depth for now, right?
Young depth, right? Because that's what we were talking about. I think last year, and then going into this year, when Brad went down, you had two young keepers that were both coming off of serious injuries. You were hoping that at least one would recover, and then Reyes leaves in the summer, and you're like, okay, that's fine. We have Garces. He's the future. He's likely going to get some minutes maybe next year. Maybe he starts these games in Open Cup. We'll see what he has. Maybe he goes into camp, in a competition with Brad to see who gets it, and then he's just gone. I mean, that's wild. Yeah. That was probably one of the least expected things, is that you have two young guys that I think the fan base, and especially the people that follow the twos, were like, this is one of these guys is our future, and now you have none.
Yeah, interesting. I'd love to know the mechanics behind that decision. It's just an interesting move. I agree, it's an interesting move. And yeah, Justin, I mean, heck, they may bring him back. I don't know, we'll see. But the club didn't specifically say they were still under discussions with him. So yeah, we have to see what happens with him, what that goalkeeper situation happens. If Brad Guzan retires, I mean, that brings up a whole other discussion, right, as far as the keeper situation for Atlanta. But it's something that they'll need to address. There could be someone in the academy they have their eyes on, looking to get some time with the twos, or someone they're looking to bring in from outside the team. So we'll see how they play that in the future.
If Westberg starts the season next year, just blow it up. Just blow everything up. If he wants to be the backup, like say Brad does retire and Westberg is the backup to whoever this new keeper that we're gonna bring on, I'm okay with that. That's fine. Have your experienced keeper as the backup, like Westberg, and he did okay. He wasn't terrible. Yeah. That's fine.
He's turning 38. Turning 38 in April though, Westberg. So he's not a young guy either. So
Diop is my guy. Yeah. I still am upset. His outfits, the drip, right? The drip. Yeah. That's what the kids say.
I know.
The kids say drip.
I know.
He got the drip.
So he will be missed, and all these guys will be missed, I'm sure. One more thing we want to touch on, probably the most important thing, is Thiago Almada. Carlos went out this way to talk about the spine of the team, and he specifically invoked the name of Almada, which was interesting to me, considering he could be gone by the time the season rolls around. Carlos saying he expects Almada to be here for the start of the season for 2024. Of course, that could change, he said, because the transfer window could change everything if Atlanta United get an offer. I mean, I feel like that's kind of a political answer, because you don't want to jump the gun and say, okay, Almada's going to be here, period. We're going to sign him to a long-term deal. He didn't make it sound like it was completely off the table for him to sign a little bit of a long-term deal, with obviously contingency if a club comes calling overseas that makes him an offer they can't refuse. I'm still of the opinion that he's here through at least the summer, when the season ends, when teams are trying to stock up for the upcoming season. I think that's when you'll probably see a move for Thiago. But at least for now, he's in the fold for 2024. The club is proceeding as if he is in the fold, unless they get this kind of Godfather offer, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with that. But you have to imagine the club does have a contingency plan. They'll have at least one DP slot, we would think, if they do go ahead and buy down Saba, which is expected, not confirmed, but expected.
What a political answer he gave there too about that.
Right. Yeah, but you have to imagine, a contingency plan is there if Thiago has to go, if he does go in the winter, and again, Eleni, I guess, an offer that they simply can't turn down.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the roster and look what you have to change as far as your starting. Like, there's a lot of backups, but now you got rid of Osetu and you got rid of Sadic, so that kind of opens up a spot. I mean, you could say Fortune could potentially just be the starter next season. I don't think they're going to do that, right? And then, potential wing, whatever they end up doing with Silva. You've got a center back that you have to replace, a potential keeper. If you can at least keep Almada here until the summer, to at least keep a little bit of consistency in the lineup, I think that's better to start the year instead of just completely coming out with an entirely new roster, right? I think that's going to be important. So I think that they're really trying. They're hoping for the best, that they can keep him until the summer and then be able to replace it and then make some changes. I heard Felipe ask that question about, with all these changes, what do you expect of next season? And I was listening to Extra Time's podcast yesterday, and they were asking about what do they think is the next year, like what is the ceiling for them? And both kind of Felipe led to it, like with all these changes, can Atlanta United even succeed next year? And I think both kind of gave like I don't even really know how with Felipe. I think Felipe was leading into it. Like, can you really expect this team to compete if they've got this many changes? It might be a rough start for sure. I mean, if you're getting that many new players in, but like I didn't agree with Extra Time saying that they can't see this team, going for, the supporter shield or whatever. You've got top talent here on this team, across all positions. Like Brooks Lennon's at one of the top, backs in the league, right? Like, and you've got some big players in Giacomakis, and if you keep Almada, like you've got good players here. It's just bringing in the right ones to fit the system. Yeah. And now you've got Garth here and all the other resources we just talked about. I don't want to. It's December, I'm sorry, it's still November, right? Like you can't start predicting on whether this team can go for a supporter shield or not. Like get out. Right. Like there's changes, but we've learned in this last transfer window, if you make the right changes, you can go from 0 to 100 extremely quick.
Yeah, and he said something interesting. I'll hit on this real quick before we go. He said, I think he said something about the buy low, sell high. It's not sustainable. And it used to, this club used to be all about that, but they want to bring some guys that can be here relatively long term, that can become part of the fabric of this club, that can contribute at a high level. So I found that part interesting. But yeah, I agree with you. It has to be the right pieces. It can't just be a splashy signing and expect it to work. It has to be deliberately looking for players who can fit the technical and philosophical way of Atlanta United in order for them to be successful. So it's going to be an interesting winter transfer window. We'll, of course, be with you through it all with content. We mentioned you had something else real quick.
Do we get Spider-Man season 2 next season, do you think?
I think so.
I think so too. I mean, I don't know what the transfer, what the buy option is and that, but I've been thinking about that a lot the past couple of days and just going back and watching highlights. And I think there's more good than bad. But that's I would like to see Spider-Man season 2, 100%.
Yeah, unless it's like a contract number that's out of this world. I don't see them cutting him loose completely. I think he'll be back. But it's gonna be an interesting transfer window. Plenty to talk about. Like I said, we'll be with you. Tommy and I, Tyler, will be with you as well. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/scarves and spikes. We are on Twitter. We are on Instagram. Be sure to follow us there. For Tommy and Tyler, I'm Sydney, and we will see you next time. So long.
And happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.